You're not Dan Dorman.
I think I am, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for taking the time to listen to a lot of these issues that are very, very important. My name is Dan Dorman. I represent the Greater Minnesota Partnership. And the partnership has been very active in this issue for several years. And we approach it from an economic development standpoint. So I was interested in Representative Simonson's question. And from an economic development standpoint, there needs to be some language changes made to existing law. And Mr. Chair, we think you have them in your bill, or at least something that would work to head in that direction, which is to segregate part of the funds for cities that will be able to create jobs. I mean, if we're interested in economic development, will there be jobs created in townships because of broadband? Sure, but certainly not to the level or magnitude that they will be inside of the city. And the way the existing law is right now, far too many of Greater Minnesota residents are excluded from even possibly being considered for funding, let alone actually being funded. We think that's a problem, and we thank you for your leadership in trying to come up with a solution to that problem, Mr. Chair. If you think about economic development, I didn't bring it earlier, but in the interim, I went back to the office and made some copies of a letter that I don't know if you've seen that yet, Mr. Chair, if it's arrived in regular mail to you yet or not, or other members, but it's from a company in Greater Minnesota that has 6 locations. And each of those 6 locations, those cities that are in by and large, are excluded from even being considered for funding. And I think that the writer does a great job of explaining why this is important, not just in the business, but also in trying to recruit people to come to Greater Minnesota to work in those areas. The location, the 7th location kind of concerns me because it's not in Minnesota. And I don't want to see more businesses leave Minnesota, create jobs somewhere else, particularly over this issue, when they don't have to. From a Minnesota standpoint, the fact that North Dakota for sure and a large part of South Dakota is ahead of us in this should concern us all. It's not a competitive basis, but it is going to have a chilling effect on job creation. I mean, right now, the way it sits, about 80% of Greater Minnesota residents are excluded from being considered for funding. If you live in a Greater Minnesota city, it's somewhere roughly around 95% of those folks are excluded. And we think that that is wrong-headed, and we're certainly happy that you have recognized that. Just to tell you, give you a real-life example of how there are other problems within the scoring criteria we currently use. I mean, I hear repeatedly people say it's about this 144,000 folks that have no service. I've heard that number for several years. It doesn't appear to be shrinking. For some reason, we're not getting grants out to those hardest to serve people, and I think we should. We think the priority should be threefold if you have it, or twofold, with dividing it into cities and the unserved really do need attention. So we think that that's a great way to do it. But here's another interesting thing on how the funding actually works. So we throw out these terms like unserved, underserved, and that's based on a speed at which you are billed for and advertised, in a wired connection, meaning you've got the line running to your house. And now if you apply for and receive a grant, you can build several technologies, including wireless, point-to-point, not mobile wireless, but point-to-point wireless works. So I live in the township, so I was particularly interested in what Mr. Subel had to say. I live in Elberly Township. I live in an area that is considered unserved, so I'm supposed to be poorest of the poor relative to broadband service. If you look at wired service, I am. But because I can buy wireless service, which again would be eligible for a grant, so it's not some weird new technology nobody's heard of. It's eligible for funding. I actually have a better upload speed. Mr. Coleman's right, upload's got to do with commerce when he spoke earlier. I have a better upload speed at my house in Elberly Township than I do at my tire store in the city of Elberly. There's something wrong here. Something wrong that my store be excluded or industrial parks in the city be excluded, yet we'll spend money to upgrade my house. And I'm certainly not saying we shouldn't have a priority for the unserved. It needs to be there, but I also think we need to take a step back and say, what are the goals? What are we doing? And if that really makes sense, that we would spend money on my house where I can usually buy a 25 by 25 package. Right now, I'm a little cheap. I buy a 10 by 10. I can't buy that in my store. So if you're concerned about this for economic development, Mr. Chair, the language in your bill, I think, was a great attempt at getting there. I would like to take a stab at answering Representative Mahoney's questions that he had coming up. Should think about that and be easy. I don't like the right of first refusal. It's incredibly anti-competitive, but if you're going to go down that road, there's a couple things that should be thought about and included in there, which is one, that if I'm going to go to the expense of filling out an application to make sure that I don't get booted out and never do it again, if I go to the expense, or the company goes to the expense of applying, and the incumbent objects and the application goes away, first thing they should have to do is reimburse the reasonable costs of whoever put that project together to submit it for an application. That could be 20, 25 grand, because it'll take you some cost to put these applications together. Second thing, it should require a performance bond that they actually will build, and not build to the low speed, but build to the same speed that everybody else where that proposal was. And that would be the third thing. Required to build at the same standard, get a performance bond, required to reimburse the reasonable costs of whoever filled that application out. Because frankly, if you're an incumbent provider, you should be ahead of that for you. You should have a leg up over somebody coming in from the outside that might, quote unquote, take your business away. Go serve your customer, do that project. None of this would even be a concern. So I think that if you are inclined as a body to get on that road to consider some of those things that would, I think that make it more worth it.
Any questions or comments? Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.